Advocate Sluba? That's Sluba?
I think we can continue. I think Advocate Nsuluba might still be in another meeting. So yes, we can just go on. Yes, thank you.
So the first thing I wanted to start off with, Professor Hutton, that is just to let students know that we did put up a preliminary recording on exams and you know, just sort of generally talking to preparing for exams and how to study and things like that. That was sort of very much focused on that lesson, the exam format. So today, this PowerPoint specifically will deal with more the information on the exam itself, formats and things like that. So please, I will post it with the very sort of strong proviso that in terms of formatting and what to expect in the exam, that you would find it that it would be you know, sorry, I just that you should look at this one. And of course, we're also in this last class that we're having right before your exam, here to answer any of your questions. And let us start. So, of course, this is presented by all three of us, well, prepared and presented by all three of us. And I would expect Professor Herter as well as Advocate Natsluba to come in to add to what I'm saying, what I'm highlighting, so that they, you know, we all have a great experience in this kind of processes, and it's great to provide as much information to students as possible. So generally, very important, tomorrow is the D-Day. You have a whole week. That's the wonderful thing about this exam. So it starts from 7 June, that's tomorrow, 8 a.m. The exam paper will be released. The due date is the 14th of June. And here, I'm just want to make a very strong point to say, if you are writing this as a first-time student, this will be found on the My Module site, assignment number 3. If you're a supplementary student, it will be on the My Module site for your term, which is 2022, October, November, and it will be assignment 4. So keep that in mind. Assignment 1, if you are a student that is writing this for the first time, assignment 4 for your module in 2022. And I've made a point with these to put them up on both of those sites. Any video, any recording, any information goes on both sites, so that, you know, all of the students know what is happening. Sorry, I seem to have moved forward. It is a paper out of 100 marks. The weighting is 49% for the year mark, which consists, of course, of both assignments, and then 51% for your exam. So that is the weighting. It is an open book. I mean, you have a whole week, which means it is completely open book. You can read, you can research your answers, you can write it out. Please make sure that you reference properly. So because it is a whole week and it is an open book exam, it is incredibly important that you understand the level of what we are expecting. We are expecting well-researched answers with footnotes. So you will need footnotes and a bibliography at the minimum. A table of contents would be great, but, you know, minimum bibliography and footnotes. In the School of Law citation requirements, please follow those. Remember, on the My Module site, we give you almost everything there is for you to know. the extracts from books, the articles, the legislation, the cases, everything is there. So utilize all of the materials we have given you, please. I'm going to stop there just to let Professor Herter come in on. I'll do that with each slide. Professor Herter, if you wanted to add in or do some, put in an emphasis on a specific thing.
No, not with this slide specifically. Thank you.
Right. Advocate Ntsoluba? Okay, great. So the exam format itself, you know, it's out of 100. There will be 425 mark questions, and all of them are based on scenarios. So we give you a problem, give you a set of facts, and then you have to answer questions ranging from 5 to 10, 20 marks. And it's actually, it makes it, to my mind, a lot easier once you have an actual set of facts to focus your attention and find the right legal materials and the right sort of legal solutions. And remember, of course, even though it's out of 100 marks, the weight itself is 51% towards your final mark. I'm going to stop here again.
Yes, thank you. I might just double check the exam paper. There is one question out of 25 without the other 3 have subsections, but we do have one
almost
question
an essay type.
It's almost an essay type question, yes.
Okay.
So it's one question is a 25 mark question. So just for clarity, purposes, one question is a 25 mark question. The others are just have a proper look at the mark allocation. They range from 25 marks to 20 marks. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that correction. Really appreciate it. I'm going to move on to your sources, and this is very important. As you can see in bold, prescribed reading material. And this is something that is very important, and I think you guys have to understand this. There's a reason we have prescribed reading materials. Those are cases, legislation, journal articles, extracts from books that are specifically important and essential for you to understand. You know, the cases and legislations are there, the journal articles discuss both of those things, the books tell you what is happening in sort of the greater context. All of these things work together for you to really understand the material well. It is very much a choice of the very important and the best written things that you will understand very well. Okay, so please look at those first. I know it is very tempting to go onto Scholar on Google or something else and just sort of generally do a search on things. Start with what we have given you, please. It is, those are very specific choices your lecturers make. And believe me, a lot of thought and time and effort goes into it. Professor Herter, and then Advocate Ntsoluba.
Thank you. Yes, what Mr. Garma said now is very important. As examiners of your answers you provide us that we need to examine and grade. If an answer only contains resources that were not prescribed, then it immediately raises in our minds or any examiner's minds a few questions. Firstly, did the students consult the prescribed resources, which is primarily what is expected? Secondly, it raises some initial concerns regarding where students manage to get the sources they use. And that sort of, the thinking there is that this might be an indication of some form of plagiarism, looking at old exam papers or looking at resources from other universities or other students and merely, using those as answers for this particular exam. Or, for example, it could be we're seeing that more and more in answers we receive that students use ChatGPT, and the answers provided by ChatGPT will necessarily reference sources, other sources different from those that we prescribe. So that in itself is an issue. I mean, we encourage the use of additional resources. If you do your own searches and research and reading, that's always good. So that indicates extra effort on your behalf, which is good. We always appreciate and encourage that. But if it's only from other resources and you do not at all refer to the resources we prescribe, then the flags go up, so to speak. So if you use other resources, which we encourage, is good, but that needs to be supplemental to the sources we prescribe. Otherwise, it may be indications that the answers you provide us with could most possibly not be your own work. Thank you.
Great. Examination guidelines. It's very important. You have to add in the declaration form. So you have to sign it and attach it. And the university penalizes students who submit without the declaration form. So please, this is just a simple thing to do. Add it in. It's not a big deal. It is a whole week for the exam itself. So we expect 10 typed pages. Yes. This does not include your declaration form, cover page, table of contents, and bibliography. So it is 10 typed pages of actual answers that you are writing. And of course, you will have footnotes there. But just make sure, and to make sure that you don't try and work around it, the last point there, the style, keep to that. Arial, font size 11, line spacing 1.5. The reasoning behind this is not to be difficult and not to tell you what font size to like or whatever it is. This is the easiest for us to read. And remember, we are marking not for your subject, but for other subjects as well. And it can get very difficult and tiring, and we want to get the marks, everything marked as quickly as possible, as efficiently as possible, and get it back out to you as soon as possible. But we have to be able to read it. Please keep to these. Do not have big, massive sort of side spaces on the sides or on top. That, I mean, I think the next thing I will put in for next time is to make sure that you have the what your page should look like as well. Footnotes, same font size. So Arial, size 10 and single size, line spacing. It's not that difficult. Set it out right at the start and follow it. Please read the instructions fully. Read your questions fully and carefully, and then answer it. Don't try and fit an answer to a question. Answer the question asked. Just make sure that you are actually answering what we are asking. Believe me, we are not trying to trick you. Okay, so just keep those in mind. Authoritative sources, of course, we are talking about the prescribed reading materials that we have prescribed, as well as, any other research that you do. Of course, we are not going to specifically say, discuss a case here. You are in final year, undergraduate study. This is a take-home exam of a whole week. We expect to see them there. We are not going to specifically ask for them. If there's a question where you inevitably have to refer to a section in a piece of legislation, put it down. Make sure that you don't just forget to put something in or choose not to put something in when we give marks for these things. So make sure that you put in your authoritative sources, please. Professor Herter?
Thank you. Yes, I just want to reiterate what Mr. Garma said now. You experienced students by this juncture in your studies, so you have a lot of time, so please answer your questions properly. We on purpose asked the questions in the second assignment with a very slight nuance difference, and it was still very surprising how many students provided us with similar answers to either the first or the second question. And that is a mere indication that the questions aren't read properly. There are many instances in this module where a slight difference in wording will make a big difference in the answer you provide us because of the content of the work. So please, firstly, read your questions properly before you start putting anything on paper. Be sure that you answer the question that is asked and not what you think we're asking. Make sure about that, and make sure that yes, you consider the terminology used carefully, because it is used in a way that we want you to identify exactly what it is we want back from you. So don't just assume by reading the question very quickly, only once or twice maybe. Make sure what you need to put down on paper. Because sometimes we get an answer that is 3 or 4 pages long, but what is relevant is sort of stuck into some paragraph in the middle somewhere, and the rest is just background information or context information and not what we're actually asking for. So think about your answer carefully and how you structure it carefully so that we don't need to go and look for what we want. Don't put down a lot of irrelevant information or background information and think that will have an effect on the ultimate mark you receive. Please be specific. You may have an introductory paragraph or conclusion that place your answer within a context. That is fine, but please don't provide us with an answer of which 70% is in essence irrelevant to what we're asking you to provide us with. Yes, so read carefully, make sure that you provide us with what we ask for, and please take note of the subtle differences in the use of terminology, and be guided by the marks we specify. You'll notice that some questions are, as we mentioned before, 5-mark questions, so your answer needs to be rather specific. So if you only have a 10-page limit, don't provide a 2-page answer for a subsection question only counting 5 marks. So these are all the basics that I'm sure you are by now comfortable with, but please take note of it while you prepare your answers. It will just increase the quality of the answers you give us back, and we award marks for substantially. Thank you.
And I think this is where the 10 pages, it initially might seem like quite long. You will find that you need to be very precise, and then I can promise you 10 pages, students who are precise will actually get really good marks within those 10 pages. And it's something that really, it's part of skills that throughout your legal studies we're trying to impart. You know, we want to teach you how to do research. We want you to be able to read. I mean, I'm talking on behalf of the college now, but we want you to be able to read legal text, understand it, and explain it to someone else. In terms of being able to write precise writing, I mean, as lawyers, our only tool is words. We have to be precise. We have to utilize it as effectively as possible. And so these limits are there really to force you to hone those skills. And just in case you needed to know our contact details again, and you know, the other recording really talks a lot to how to study, and I know it's starting tomorrow, so it might be a bit late, but we expect before tomorrow already that most of you have at least read through all of the material, that you know where it belongs, and you know how to answer certain things. So you need to have known it already. An open book examination does not mean that you don't study for it. You have to study for it. It's open book. It's, you know, wonderful, but you have to study so you know to identify the right material for the right question, for the right answer. Yes? So please make sure that you are well aware of what is in your prescribed materials, that you have engaged with it, that you've studied it. And I know we keep saying this throughout the course, but that it's quite important. And of course, if you do email one of us, email all of us. And what I mean by that is CC all of us. You may not get an immediate answer if you just email one person. Also, if you email one person and then you send another the same email to another person separately, you are causing a bit of a backlog for other students, because we're all trying to answer the same email. So please send it to one person, CC the other people. Between us, we will answer back to you. Yes? Of course, we cannot comment on any of the questions that are in the exam while your exam is being written. When it comes to my module, there is student support. Please, if you run into trouble, I know they have tutorial or online recordings and tutorials that you can look at to help yourself, or email them. Please don't wait until the last day, to the last minute to upload your paper. I cannot emphasize this enough. There's enough issues with load shedding, with internet issues, with ICT issues. We don't want you to suffer. And part of it is helping yourself by not being there at the last minute of the last hour trying to upload a paper. Professor Herter?
Yes, all good advice. I hope you take it to heart. Yeah, just make sure that you submit timeously, that you don't need to deal with either load shedding issues or system issues. It just creates a lot of stress and a lot of admin, and the way the system is set up, it's very difficult, particularly in an exam, to deal with these issues after the conclusion of the exam. So please submit timeously, and not the last minute. That's very important, please.
Okay,
Thanks.
if I may, I'm just gonna stop this slideshow, stop sharing. And then we give students a little bit of time to ask us questions. Please raise your hands and let us know. who to come to. Any hands? Nicole, Naledi, Filna, Lebogang, Lee. Filna, go ahead. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. This time it's really my hand, it's not a reaction. So I just want to check one thing with you guys. For the supplementary students, will the
Yes.
weighting still be the same? So will my last year assignments still count 49% towards my final mark?
Professor Hutta, I'm going to give that to you as the more experienced professor here. Because I must say, I have not even thought of it.
Yes, it should be. It should be the year mark that still counts. It depends on the circumstances why you're writing the supplementary, what the reason for that is.
So it's because, just to give you some context, so my assignment 1 from last year, I got a 0 because I, by mistake, attached another module's assignment. So obviously I got 0 there. So if that still counts towards my final mark, then I'm almost thinking that maybe I should rather just re-register, because then I will have to get at least 75% for me to pass the subject.
Yes. Philna, won't you just email us a separate email that
I
to
will.
just double check that
Yeah.
for you on the
Really
system, because
Yeah,
there
we
are
might want to
various.
just check in with our DSA colleagues, just to
Thank
be
you.
Yes,
doubly sure.
Thank you
there
so
are
much. I will
various
do
different
that.
settings on the system that determine
Yeah.
whether the year mark is still used or whether there's a flat 50% for the supplementary, but that depends on the circumstances and
Thank
how
you.
it's
I will do
indicated on
that.
the system. So we just need to double check that specific
Perfect. I will do
instance for
that.
you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All from my side.
Naledi,
Anyone else?
Nicole, anyone else? Oh, there is Christian as well. Christian George van Wyk. You're not alone. Nicole, go ahead.
Hi everyone. I just want to know, obviously I hear where you're coming from, where you're saying that we have to be concise, but do you have any guidance for the assignment question? We normally, obviously it's we use the standard response where it's the introduction, you have your sources, and then obviously you apply it and your conclusion. But I don't want to put too much information in, so I just want to get a bit of guidance there, please.
So Eddie, could I just come in and you can add to it?
Yeah,
so
sure.
if it's a 5-mark question, you're not going to do an introduction, for example.
Okay.
You are just going to answer the question. If it is a 25-mark question, we'd like to see proper thought processes there. Yes? If we are asking you to discuss a decision in a case, you'd be expected to give us the facts of the case, but no introduction would be necessary. So it really is very, very much dependent on the question. But as a general rule, a 5-mark question, you are not writing it as if it's an essay question.
Yes, my question is more in relation to the essay question.
Okay.
I don't want to overflood you guys, so understanding everything that you've communicated to us this far.
Yeah, I think Professor Hetta, you might want to come in there, because to me, an introduction, that structure you just talked to, Nicole, that would be applicable. But Professor Hetta, you might want to have something specific to add there.
Yes, Nicole, this is very much an individual preference style type of thing, and we appreciate that you do have, and that's why you need to be proud of the answers you provide us with as well. It's a form of academic freedom you have, whether you're writing a research paper or a dissertation, or whether you're providing answers to an exam, it's a form of academic writing. So you do have, as an individual writer, the academic freedom in which you decide the work you produce in terms of style, in terms of structure. What I think the point we're trying to make is that it's up to you how you would answer a 25-mark question in terms of how you go about it. All we're trying to say is that please don't write 2-3 pages of information that might be relevant to the context or the background of the question you were asked, but is essentially, for example, 2 of the 4 pages of your answer is basically the introduction of how e-commerce came about in South Africa and why we need it, and how relevant electronic trade has become in the in day-to-day transacting, and it's all relevant, but it's not relevant to the answer we want. So don't spend too much time on that. Focus on what we want back from you, and that's the specific question we want to ask you. So don't let's take the assignment, for example. There were 5 to 7 possible relevant sections to the Act that we wanted you to identify and discuss. So in that context, then, just as an example, your academic freedom in writing your answers to us will allow you to draft an answer in your own style, using your own terminology and preferred structure of conveying to us your thoughts on the question we asked, and in providing the information we need to provide you with marks for. So, but you will not preferably spend half your answer on the background information and stick all 7 possible relevant sections into 2 small little paragraphs on page 3 of your answer. You'll receive marks, but in context of the answer you provided, it's not the essence of what we want. We need you to provide the essence of the question we ask. So that is direct information. And then the context or the background is basically where your style and your own personal preference regarding structure would be, relevant, or just in order for your answer to make sense, in order for us to see your way of thinking, how you express yourself in your answer, and how you've made the knowledge you've gained in reading your material and studying your own. That's a reflection of you. So we also want to see that. But while seeing that, we want to see that you've actually learned what we wanted to teach you, if that makes any sense. So we want the essence of what of the question we asked. We want back. We want the specific sections. We want clarification on what that section provides and why it is relevant within the set of facts we provide. If you provide a nice introduction and a conclusion and a context, that's great, because it makes for a great answer. And it also allows you the academic freedom to give us back the knowledge you've gained, which is what makes this worthwhile. But merely sticking 3 sections in 4 sentences somewhere in the middle is not what we want. I hope that makes a little bit more sense, Nicole.
Understood. Thank you, Prof.
Any other questions, anybody? And these guidelines we provide you with is in order to assist you, not to scare you. we're just trying to make it easier for you to be comfortable in what you're doing. So this is not to, intimidate you at all in being terribly stressed out when you write this exam. It should be an uplifting experience where you actually learn something. And part of that is putting to paper what knowledge you've gained. So that's the main goal of this. That is the context in which we try and provide you with these guidelines, not to be at all negative about the possible answers we are going to receive. When we open up an examination paper, we look forward to marking it, to see what we've actually managed to impart in context of what you studied in this module. So we regard it as a positive experience, but in order for that to really be worth your while as well, you need to spend time with it and pay attention to it to show us that this is also important to you. So don't be worried about it. Is important, but all of these nitty-gritty, we want this or we don't want that. Everything regarding that is important. But we say that in order to enhance your experience of providing these answers, not to intimidate you into being scared when you provide us with an answer. I hope that makes a little bit of sense. So don't be overly concerned. Just follow the simple guidelines and you'll be fine. Anything else? Anybody?
I mean, even though I keep saying, you should study beforehand, 7 days and all of that, it is enough really for you to really work out an excellent paper. I really think so. And I have full confidence in your ability to do so. The prescribed material is not extensive. It's not overly extensive, and you will be able to and write something very good. And I just wanted to wish you the very best luck. Also,
yes,
one last
all the
point.
best of luck.
I know that the thing says 8 o'clock in the morning. The system is programmed to open at 8, and we don't open it up from our side. Okay. It does somehow take a couple of minutes, sometimes even 5, which it has done before it's available. Don't panic. Please don't panic. Great. Advocate Saluba, Professor Hurta, any final words?
No, just final words of encouragement. Don't be intimidated. Enjoy it. Thank you for choosing this module. We hope you enjoyed it and that you've learned something. And all the best of luck with your exam. It'll go well, we're sure. If you put in the time and effort, it'll go well. So all the best of luck with your exams, not only in this exam, but with all the exams you write. So yes, best of success to you.
I just see one question, Professor Hurta, and it's not I know I will not give an answer to this, Christian. How long should the 25-mark question answer be?
Christian, that will depend, I suppose, on the question we've asked you and your interpretation of your answer. There's no hard and fast rule. It's sort of as with what I just mentioned when Nicole asked her question, it's up to you. You have the freedom to provide us with the answer you want to provide us with. There's no hard and fast rule. just provide us, please, with the essence of what we want. The most important, at the very least, with the essence of the information you need to show us that we asked you for. That's the absolute least you need to do. And then regarding the drafting of it, totally up to you. You're an experienced student by now. If you're comfortable with the subject matter and you've read and studied what we expected or provided you with, it'll be rather clear for you what we want back, and how you formulate that is totally up to you. I hope that's, because giving a precise answer to a question like that is difficult. Your focus should be to provide us with as much relevant information as possible. And how you want to phrase that or structure that is totally up to you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Christian, we gave you very good answers and non-answers there. Good luck to everyone. Thank you for coming through. I really appreciate it. I will be putting up this recording as soon as possible this afternoon at the latest. I will, and do let, if you talk to any of your classmates, do let them know that I will try and put it up. As soon as I'm able to download it, I will put it up. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Professor Herter. Thank you guys for coming through. Thank you, Advocate Saluba. Really appreciate it.
From my side, I want to say congratulations. You can make it. Just go and do it. Prepare so that you can be able to distill the requirements in terms of the questions, but you can do it. Just go and do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gama, for all your efforts and time spent on this session. Much appreciated from all of us. From my side particularly, thank you so much for all your inputs and efforts. And yes, the last time, all the best of luck.
Thank you. I'm stopping the recording now, and have a great afternoon, guys. Take a deep breath, and good luck.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you, Gan.